Well, hi there. Let's talk about greens. You want to? Greens are important with painting. They're nature. They are part of your essential colors you need to either mix or have pre-poured. And yet so many watercolor students of mine have trouble figuring out greens and how to get the proper green. So come with me and let's just demystify it once and for all, okay? So here's the deal. If you buy sap green, and let's just say, oh, four brands, these right here, Core, let me get a little closer, Mary Blue, Magello, and Winsor and Newton. Forget about these. This is like leaf green and hooker's green. But let's just talk about sap. And you're with me in my studio where I am always scribbling on pieces of paper that I tore or that I was testing things on. I hope you don't ever throw any of your scraps away because they're always helpful for this type of thing. So here is sap green in Core. I don't know if it translates perfectly across the screen, but it has a yellowy, warm, sappy green color. Now, and you can especially see that when you're looking at the here's less water and less pigment, more water. And a lot of times I feel that when you're doing tests for your colors, that the right side, the more watery side, tells you the undertones a little more. Now, check out Sap Green and Core, and now look at it in Mary Blue. Can you see the difference? It's got more of a grayer undertone. Let me see if, I think I grabbed something. Let's look, shall I? So I wanted to show you some examples of the greens, and here's a perfect one. So I painted this with Payne's Gray, and it was Daniel Smith. And then besides the jar being in Payne's Gray, the only other color other than a little brown, I probably used burnt umber in some of the indentations. But other than that, the two leaves that are stuck in the jar are nothing but versions of sap green with Mary Blue. So you can see it's kind of like a grayish, and I hope you can see what I mean. Here's Mary right here. It's got a cooler green tone with it, and the lighter version of it again with more water and light and bending through it is versions of the light version as well, the watery version. On the other hand, I did these watermelons the other day to talk about different green colors. And if you didn't see my my quick demonstration, I have it on one of the shorts. So you can take a look at it. They're super fun to make, super easy. And they have such a cool look about it. But at any rate, I put some colors along the side. Now, these greens are all either pre-poured from the tube. So in other words, came from the company that way. Or they have a little mix, but they're all Daniel Smith. So here is sap green, Daniel Smith, with Daniel Smith cadmium red. And here we have it with Payne's Gray. Here is Aquarius green. Ooh, do I love thee. How do I love, love thee? Let me count the ways. That is one of my I'm getting excited, my very favorite greens in the world. It is rich. It just blends well with so many things. It's made by Roman Schmal, who has lovely, rich, beautiful colors anyway. One of my favorite brands. And then here is back to Daniel Smith, Undersea Green. So you can kind of see what these mixes look like compared to Aquarius, which is such a great color, and then the Undersea as well. And the Undersea, it's interesting because when it dried, it separated just a little bit, which is kind of fun because you can see the blue undertones with it. If you want to see how I make my watermelons, it's super easy and fun. I use salt to get some of that texture of the watermelon meat. And then the core has one of the nice dark greens and blends out a little bit with yellow. Here is another example of greens on a scratch paper. And you can see the mix of the lighter greens, the browner, the more olivey shades. You can see them all here. And it's nice to have them all on a branch because then it looks more realistic. And you know that you always want to have a nice variety. Let's see, here are some more mixes. Green gold is such a wonderful color. Here is sap with green gold, sap with burnt sienna, and again, lovely colors. If you want to know more or you want to take some tutorials with me, my, oh my, would I love to have you. And they're just so fun. My classes, I feel, cut to the chase and give you what you need to paint without filler stuff. If that makes sense. I'm going to give you a little watermelon before I leave just because they're so fun. So here's Aquarius green. I brought this out, by the way, to show you. I even have a little soap dish that I mix my greens in. My classes, I do live classes if you're in the Myrtle Beach area and workshops as well. But I also make sure I'm not dipping into my water cup. But I also do Zoom classes. And what I'm really enjoying right now are my Patreon classes, patreon.com/Cindra. And for as little as $8, you can start and you'll get a whole month's worth. It'll automatically renew or just cancel at any time. And I mean, can anything be more fun? I don't think so. Let me get a little bit of lemon yellow. Sometimes I use cat, but I'm going to use a little lemon and just let it kind of blend in and flow with the watermelon rind. These look like summer watermelon, right? If you want, you could start with the yellow, by the way. I'm going to go in for just a little bit darker. And let me reach in and tap along the edge just to get it a little bit darker. And now I'm going to go to cadmium red. I'm going to cadmium red with Roman schmal. Yes, I love Roman. So this is the perfect watermelon color because it's that warm red that has an orangey warm tone to it. So here is a slice ready for eating in the summertime. And you can make yourself a whole plate of them if you'd like, but I've just given you a slice just to show you how fun they are. And after, I'm going to make it a little darker so it's a little tastier and sweeter. Do you thump watermelons when you go to the store? So there you go. Might lift a little bit around the base because I got carried away in there. And I'm taking a little bit of regular table salt. And while it is still ripe for the pickings, I'm going to lay that in the watermelon because that's what's going to make it look really cool as that salt goes to town and creates that great texture. The next thing I'm going to do is just simply create some seeds in there. And you can see none of them are beautiful, perfectly painted. And that's the way you want it. You want them all mottled. You want all these weird edges of what's blended out or not blended out. And when it's dry, so I'm not going to do it right now since this is not dry, but when it's dry, you want to put in the seeds with a little bit white gel on there. And I've taught this before on YouTube, but I just thought it was a perfect way to talk about greens and talk about how that all works. So let's dump off. There we go. Let me show you from the side how it's starting to make it look kind of mealy. And again, what they look like when they ended. You know, summertime is just too much fun to do these. So I hope that was fun for you. And I hope that it gets you thinking about greens, because that's what this is all about. Greens are your friend. And by the way, we didn't even get into some of the greens. Perylene green is a really lovely dark color of green. But I was going to say we didn't get into greens that are not nature oriented as well. Let me see if I can find a little scribble scrabble place here. I was demonstrating what not to do. So don't look at that and think that's a good rose. That is the do not. So I'm going to show you, I love Daniel Smith mineral colors. And this is Jadetta green. Hello. Very rich with a lot of blue undertone in it. And Viridian green is kind of like that too, that it's got that aqua undertone. And so I love that for like deep ocean or something. This is cool with certain like aloe plants or can't think of the word, you know, the little round leaves. So that's a beautiful color as well. And I guess I'll let you go. I have a bunch more greens in front of me I'd love to dig into, but let's call it a day. Hope you had fun. Consider taking some classes with me if you would. And if you need information, just ask me about it, okay? I'm here. Thanks so much. Have a lovely day.